Dusty Dienst is with us. He's the Fbo Fire Chief, and they are looking for paid on-call firefighters, right, Dusty?
Good morning. Yes, we are.
You actually need more people, or are you looking to add to your waiting list?
So we have both. So right now we're down one. City Council allows us a certain number, and as they go, then we have a list that is usually good for 2 years that we can take off of to add on. So we are down one, and with a pending retirement here later this summer, we'll be down another one.
Okay, we're talking the paid on-call retirement or a full-time retirement?
Full-time.
So you're also going to be looking for a full-time firefighter?
Yep, so what happens is a full-time and the captain, that's all promotion from within. So all of us started as paid on-call firefighters, and then you work your way up through the ranks. So we'll have a retirement, and then the whole domino effect will start. A person will become a captain because the captain that's retiring, and then a paid on-call firefighter will become a full-time firefighter, and then that'll open up a spot in the paid on-call ranks.
So when's the retirement?
I think August.
Just around the corner then.
Yep, coming up. So the list that we make is good for 2 years. So we'll definitely be 2 coming off the list for sure right away by the time we get the list made. And then as time goes on, other retirements or other change of life for paid on-call firefighters, and they go off and they're gone, then we pick from the list and try to keep our numbers up around the allowable amount.
Now I'm trying to, you got to remember I have a bald head here, so stuff escapes out of the head that normally would not escape from the head. But from my memory, I seem to recall that the city's authorized 30 paid on call. Is that right number?
Not anymore. That's when I was paid on call. That's what we had. Now we're at 24.
Oh, okay. That's changed.
That has changed. So we're trying to maintain that with a lower number. Of course, when we were 30, like when I got on, they would wait for it to go down 4 or 5 and then put on a group of people.
Sure.
And it's still a good. I like that because they all go through the training as a class, if you will. I think that's a good setup. But when you get down at the 24 level that we're at, we can't be dropping down 4 or 5 before we start hiring. So when we see things coming, we need to get on it and have people to fill those roles.
And I'm sure the reason why you like them going through as a class is because it takes a lot of teamwork to fight fires, right?
Yeah, you don't do anything by yourself. Everything's teamwork. So it starts off right from the get-go with going through the application. Well, the application's on your own, but everything after that, it's other than the interview, is the physical ability test. It's teamwork. We're always working together. Every training we do, it's rare that you're going to do anything by yourself as a firefighter.
And you need to be able to take instruction.
Yep. It's we're a paramilitary organization, so there's rank and file, and things are set up very well. We use an incident command system, so we know who's in charge and who's running what. And you have to be good at doing that, and that most people are. They know this is a new realm. There's not a lot of people just wandering around that have firefighter experience that come into that and already know what's going on. So we're teaching them from, they may see stuff on TV, which, believe it or not, may not always be
accurate
or even close. But we teach them. We teach them everything they need to know.
We're going to go over some information about what it takes to be a firefighter. I think we touched on a little bit of it already. Of course, you have to be a team player, have to be able to take direction. There's going to be some physical requirements, I'm sure, because it's a physical job, right?
Sure is. It sure is. And there is a test that we have at the process going through that will test not just physical strength, but endurance. One of the things is we put a mask on you and cover it up and see if you're claustrophobic.
I know. I had to go through that myself because when I shortly moved to town, I shared this story with you before. I thought, well, it makes some sense to be a part-time firefighter, but I found out, and I didn't know before, that I was claustrophobic.
Oh, yeah, and a lot of things that we do, or I won't say a lot, but when it comes to firefighting, there's limited visibility, if any, for some time, so you have to be able to handle that.
Yeah, and I found out I couldn't really handle that.
Yeah, that, and like scared of heights, we send you up a pretty tall ladder, not all the way to the top of our tallest, but we send you up a ladder. You have to be comfortable.
We're going to get that opening market report.
Okay.
Right now.com. Speaking of buildings, of course, trying to save buildings is one of the key reasons why you have a fire department. And the Fbo Fire Department is looking for some paid on-call firefighters. Dusty Dienst, chief of the Fbo Fire Department, is our guest this morning on AM Minnesota. Dusty had contacted me a couple weeks ago and said, you know, we're having a little trouble getting a couple of paid on-call firefighters to apply. So what do you say about doing an AM Minnesota about what it means to be a firefighter? And I thought, gee, I never even thought about this. Great idea. So thanks for the idea, Dusty.
Yeah, and thanks for having me come in.
Not a problem. So, what does it take to be a firefighter?
Well, yeah, you have to be committed. There's this thing called Murphy's Law. And so we can schedule some of the stuff that we do, but it's inevitable that you're going to get interrupted in what you're doing for an emergency call. Now, the beauty of our system that we have here in Faribault, and like a lot of fire departments, is we have 34 people on our fire department when we're full, between paid on call and full time. Any given time a fire call goes out, we do an all call, and it calls everybody, but we know that we're not going to get everybody. So as a paid on call firefighter, you're required to make 75% of the training that's offered, and that's scheduled. We do that at the beginning of the year, and you know when that is. Calls obviously aren't scheduled. You just need to make a third of those. So it's not a ton of them. You know, you might get called as a paid on call firefighter 25, 35 times a year. So it's not a huge problem as far as getting pulled away from work or pulled away from family. But unfortunately, the way Murphy's Law, and anybody that's named Murphy, that's just no offense, but it'll happen on Christmas Day or on your son's birthday or your daughter's dance recital, and those are decisions that each firefighter has to make when the call goes out. Is, can I go, or what I'm doing more important, or if you can't leave something, you can't leave something. So
yeah. So physical requirements. You have to be able to lift a certain amount of weight or something?
Yeah, we have in the fire service, we've gone a little bit away from lifting. You have the old fireman's carry. We talk about saving people out of houses, or even as important as another firefighter that goes down with you, being able to get them out of there. And we don't so much carry people anymore, because we know what that does to our backs and what it does. We train on and teach dragging people. Actually, our turnout gear we have right now, on the back of our neck there's some webbing that goes in when you put it on, and it's a DRD, drag rescue device. So you flip up a little deal on the back of any firefighter's collar, and underneath there's a handle. You pull it out and you can drag them. It goes around their armpits. You can drag them out. So we don't carry people, but you still have to be able to move stuff and lift stuff. It can be pretty physical, yes.
So there's no requirement like be able to lift 100 pounds or
something? Nope. As part of the application process, the hiring process, we have a endurance or agility test, I'd call it. So we have you do a bunch of things in a row, and you have a certain amount of time. And one of them is dragging. I think he's a 160-pound dummy towards the end, and he's a beast, and it's tough. But our test is set up to test endurance. You got to be able to swing it's an 8 or 10-pound maul a bunch of times. You have to be able to go up a ladder, put on a mask, like we were talking before the break, and see if you're claustrophobic. You have to be able to pick up some ladders. You have to be able to raise up an extension ladder with a rope, so you have to have some hand and arm strength for that. So we test a little bit of everything, but it's not a test that people can't do. I mean, I was able to do it and multiple times, and most people can do it in the allotted time, or way under. I think on average, in the 12-minute time frame that you get to do the test, most people come in around 8 or 9 minutes. And we don't let them run, and we don't let them fly through, but we make sure they're safe, and it's a doable test. But it does test some different abilities that maybe you don't use a lot, and people that don't make it through the first time, know the test, and hopefully come back the next time we post like we are now, and have a little bit of an idea of what they're going to go through, and can even train for it or be ready.
Is there a psych test?
There's not. No, we do a background check as a part of the process once you get hired, but not psychological, no.
Because I would think that it would be, some people couldn't handle it mentally.
Yeah, there's some of that we as a full-time and command staff watch for, and there's some signs that we watch for to make sure we don't put anybody out or you know, put them in a bad situation. I'm gonna call now. Just
I can hear that. Yes.
All right, not a fire. Thank you.
Hopefully my guest doesn't have to leave right now.
No, it's a medical call, so I will not.
And that's the other thing I was going to touch on. A majority of your calls are medical, but we were talking about the mental aspect of the job, I should say.
Yeah, and it's huge in a lot of jobs, but ours especially, because we see some things that you don't want to see,
right?
And you get involved in some things that are not always so pleasant. But your training gets you ready for some of that, not all of it. And we do keep an eye out for different signs and things that people are going through when they're exposed to that stuff. So we have some stuff, critical incident stress debriefing that we can have over after a traumatic call. So we have some things to watch out for that. But hopefully in the training preps you for stuff. Now, if you don't like blood, of course, it's probably not the job for you. Not that we see it, you know, all the time, but we see it enough.
Yeah, a fair amount, I would think.
The beauty of some of that is in our combination fire department. So that's what Faribault is considered combination. So we have a combination of full-time people and paid on call. So all of us started as a paid on call firefighter and then worked our way up through the ranks. So you kind of get eased into it. As a paid-on-call firefighter, you don't go on a lot of the medicals. The duty shift, the full-time guys that are on, like right now, are going to a medical call, so they take those. The paid-on-call main role is to assist when anything, not only fires, but anything is more than 2 or 3 people can handle. So that's any structure fire, even a small structure.
And then don't they come in and sit in the station while the full-timers are out, or?
Possibly, if we go way out in the rural area or we get tied up like on a CPR thing, we'll call a couple people in to man the station, because we are, as a full-time department, we have coverage 24/7 all the time. So if they get tied up on something that they can't leave, then we call people in. And we call in full-time and part-time, and usually it's only 1 or 2. So that's not a huge, that doesn't take a lot of time. That doesn't happen a lot.
When I first came to Faribault in the late 80s, 1987, I seem to recall they had 12 full-time firefighters. Had just gone down from 15, if I remember right.
Correct.
And then shortly after that, they being the city council, decided to have 9 full-time firefighters.
Yep, and that's where we are. Well, I like to say 10. I like to consider myself, I'm still a firefighter, so we have 9 full-time firefighters that are shift guys, so they're 24-hour shift. They came at 8 o'clock this morning and they get done at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and there's 3 shifts of 3 that do that. And then myself, I did that for almost 14 years, and now as chief, I'm 8 to 5 at the station or doing these things, and then just on call all the other times. And
sure. And
that's one thing with all firefighters, and I think that's everywhere in the country, is you're on call all the time. Maybe some of the big, like New York's and Minneapolis, some of those, when you're off, you don't get called back in. But we, as a firefighter in Faribault, you're always on call. It doesn't mean you always have to come, but you're always on call.
So being a paid on-call firefighter tells me that you're paid per call.
Yep.
Which volunteer firefighters obviously are not.
Correct.
Most volunteer fire departments, however, get some sort of compensation in the form of, maybe paid into some retirement fund.
Correct. Yep, that's pretty common. We are paid on call. We pay pretty well. The starting wage, I have the posting right here. So the first year you're on probation, so it's at $13.64 an hour, and then after that it's $18.77 an hour. So then that's everything you do. The training is paid at that rate, and the calls are paid at that rate. Those are the two. Well, the other thing we get into, like in a couple weeks, will be manning the Enduro at the fair. So you're getting that, depending on where you are, you're at that $18 an hour to be down there. And if a fire starts or someone gets hurt, you're helping them. But otherwise, you're there just in case.
So it's $13.64 an hour to start, $18.77 after your 1-year probation.
Yep.
And did you say 1-year probation?
1 year, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And the training. So the training, we do a lot of training. Everything we do is training, and that's how we stay up on things. We don't have fires every day where we can stay proficient at that. So we train a lot. We train on Thursday nights, 6:30 to 9:30, typically 2 Thursday nights a month, the second and the third. If you have an EMR, which is old first responder, or EMT, every other year we have that training to renew our license. So then it's the first Thursday, and we train on Thursday nights, and that's again paid.
So another requirement would be I'd have to become a certified EMR person, right?
We recommend that. We like to have all of our people at least EMR, because it's great not only to have everybody on a fire ground, if somebody gets hurt or they hurt themselves, they know what to do. But I've always said especially as a paid on-call firefighter, the medical training that you get will get used more just running around out in the world as a human being than it will at the fire department, because the full-time guys are doing most of the medicals. But when people know that you have this training, and you say you're at church, you're at a gathering, and somebody's hurt, they're going to come to you for help. And there's no better feeling in the world than to be able to have this training, have this knowledge, and be able to help somebody.
Yeah, CPR, that sort of thing.
Yeah, CPR, even right down to just check the blood pressure. It doesn't always have to be the real traumatic things. That someone falls, you know the signs of a concussion, you know what to do, and even if it's just comforting them until the ambulance and the full-time guys get there, there's a great deal of medical run that is just comfort from people.
So you said most part-timers are probably 25 calls a year. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yes, I think I'm thinking of the numbers we had last year for structure fires. I think we were a little high last year. I think we're in the 20. Now that doesn't mean we burned down 20 houses. Some structure fires are starting a kitchen or starting a room, and we contain it to a room. That's kind of that's what we hope for.
So what happens if I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's right.
What happens if I'm a part-time, I should say a paid on-call? I guess it's part-time firefighter.
It's kind of the same, interchangeable.
So I'm a part-time firefighter. I arrive on the scene, and you guys have it knocked down. Do I get compensated?
Oh yeah, yep. You get
for
a 2
1 hour then, or what?
2 hours. So the way we're set up, and this has changed. When I got on in the early 90s, we carried all our gear in our personal vehicles, and you responded right to the site. Well, with there were some unknowns there. If everybody went to the site, nobody brought the second fire truck, that could have been a problem. But the bigger thing was all that stuff has cancer-causing agents and other things on it because of the call you were on, and now you're putting it in your personal vehicle, and maybe your kids or your loved ones or family members are in there. So we've learned over time that that's a bad idea. So all the gear's at the station. So you respond to the station, officer in charge, who's myself or a captain or full-time firefighter that's there already, will then stop you and stay at the station, or we have an order of trucks that go out depending on what the call is. And yeah, sometimes we will hit the fire, and sometimes it will be out, but that's just a small part of a fire response, is putting the fire out. There's a lot of other things. There's mop up. There's trying to save people's stuff that's in there, because when we spray water on a fire, now if it's upstairs, it's dripping downstairs, so we tarp people's stuff, computers and picture albums, that kind of stuff. We're taking it all out of there. So there's a lot of work. A lot of work happens after the fire is out.
Yeah, setting up the fans.
Yep, getting the smoke out. There's numerous things, comforting the family. There's numerous things that goes on after the fire is out. That's just the action pack that we see on TV. A lot of that other stuff you don't see on TV. It's not that glamorous. It's not that glorious. It doesn't make good TV. But a lot of the work happens once the fire's out.
Yeah. So the average salary, I looked this up before the show. Believe it or not, I do prep for some of these shows. The average firefighter salary in Minnesota, according to the site I looked at, I should have written that down, but anyway, was $39,113. The average in America is $49,920. And the Fbo firefighters are in that neighborhood, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have that what they make right off the top, but this is full time. So this isn't what you'll make as a paid on call firefighter. You'll make some. You get I don't know what the exact word for it is. Not at the end of the year, if you make all your numbers and you're in good standing, there's a compensation. I don't know what to call it, because if you call it a bonus, it might not be that. If you call it this, so it's another check. Let's put it that way. And that's not the first year, but after that, if you make your percentages for training and for calls and are in good standing, then there's more. So you're talking a couple $1,000s. And but the other thing, like what got me into the paid on call ranks, is wanting to help and get all this training. But that's how you get full time. I mean, to be a full time firefighter in Faribault, it's promotion, so you have to be paid on call.
Yeah, I was going to just bring that up. That's the only way in Faribault, right? Some guy doesn't move to town who is a professional firefighter in Minneapolis and then all of a sudden become a professional firefighter on the Fbo Fire Department, because Faribault promotes from within.
Correct. That's our setup. That's not how everybody is, but that's how we do it, and it's worked for many years. Not all paid on call firefighters want to be full time. Quite a few do, and that's a reason to get in. But there's plenty of guys that have their jobs they like and they're comfortable in what they're doing, and that's what they do.
And you have had lady firefighters.
We have. Yep, we have. In my career, I can think of 3 right off the top of my head that were paid on call firefighters.
So if you're a lady listening and are interested, you're certainly welcome to apply, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
In fact, your new improvements at the fire hall kind of took that into account, if I remember right.
Yes, we did some from the 1968 setup, a very open, showers open, bathrooms open. Yeah, we knew going forward that's in our future, and that we now have more private areas like that, sleeping areas and bathrooms.
Yeah. So again, folks, if people are interested, they just give you a call. Is there an online application form or something?
There is. The HR, Human Resources at City Hall, really is in charge of this. I work pretty closely with Kevin. He's our HR manager. So applications are at City Hall. I believe they're online. I think it's a standard, but I don't know that 100%.
Okay.
I should have looked that up. So you can call City Hall. They have them available there. We do have a couple available at the fire station, just in case someone pops in there. But being that we're 100 feet from City Hall, a lot of time we shag them over to City Hall to go to the second floor and get an application.
And after that happens, is there some sort of an orientation, or do I immediately go for a test, or what?
Well, I have a meeting with you to kind of go over some of the stuff that we've talked about, and then there is a reading comprehension test that I give that night. And then from that night, then we schedule the physical ability test, and then if and when you pass that, then there's an interview process, because we are a civil service and we have to rank everybody. So everybody gets scored as they go through, and then we develop a rank. Number 1 on the list is number 1, and then we go down from there. So
I'd be interviewed by the Civil Service Commission?
Yeah, myself, Human Resources, and there could be a civil service person there also. Yep.
And then
the list is established, and if that happens and we need 2, then you 2 are starting, and we get you trained in. We have some initial orientation, and we get you some gear, and we get you going. And
I was just going to ask, do I pay for my own turnout gear?
Nope, you don't pay for any of that stuff. We have some there the first year. We hopefully have stuff that closely fits you, and then after that, if you make it a year, then that's when we start buying stuff, because it's very expensive and we can't just buy it and then you go away because it doesn't work out. So
do most people that apply and become paid on-call firefighters make that year? Or?
Yeah, most do. But we've had some all the way from my first training, and that doesn't look like what I signed up for, or I don't know that I can do that. To it's a part-time job, and I don't want to downplay it because it's a very important job, but it isn't what pays the bills. So what your other job does and has for you is key. And of course,
your employer has to agree to all this.
Well, you probably want to meet with them and say, I'm thinking about doing this, and this is what can happen, and make sure they're good with it. Some employers are great with you leaving. Some jobs, like if you work at the prison, you may not be able to leave during the day. Doesn't mean that you won't make your percentages, but it makes it a little more challenging if you can't get away. We have plenty of people that work in Bloomington or Burnsville or Owatonna. They can't leave during the day. That's a big problem in the fire service across the nation. That people are busy working, doing their thing during the day, and if you have a fire during the day, we know that, and we either call for mutual aid, or we hope that we get enough people. Timing's everything in the fire service. You get the call time at the right time, and you can get all the help you need, and next time you could be hurting for help.
So are you in the process right now, because you got a firefighter retiring in August, of selecting his replacement?
Yes, we have posted it, and so they're filling out applications right now for the captain's position. We have a full-time list that is civil service that's been good for 2 years, so that one's already established, and those pecking order is already there, so we know who that person will be. So the captain process is on right now, and paid on call.
So if I were to apply for this, I'd probably be on the waiting list.
Well, depends on where you score. Everybody goes onto the list, and then we go to city council and say, here's our list, we need 2, so here's 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, however many.
So if I score ahead of people on the list, then
yep,
that's how it works.
We take number 1 and 2, and then those 2 come off, and then everybody else moves up. And then when the next one comes off over the next 2 years, that list is there waiting. And if your situation changes, then if we need number 3 now becomes number 1, and we call you up, we could use you, and if you can, we'd be happy to have you on. But if things have changed or now you can't, then we go to the next one.
usfiredepartment.com. You ever go on that website?
I have not.
It says most fire departments have a firefighter exam, 4 different parts to it, and a situational quiz.
Some of our questions do have that. Now that's not fair. That in the full-time ranks, that's fine, and in the captains we do that. But as a paid-on-call firefighter, if I ask you, what are you going to do if you pull up and there's someone hanging out the window, and you don't know? We'll teach you that, and then we'll have you ready for the full-time position that opens up someday.
So it really wouldn't make any sense to do that. Now there's a fire school, right?
Yep, Riverland has fire school. We have a individual right now, or 2 of them. One's doing online. He's a full-time firefighter, and we have another paid-on-call that just did he graduate from Superior? So he went up there.
So do you send these guys to these fire schools?
We have fire
and gals.
Not the 2-year degree. That's done on your own, like most colleges. So we have plenty of training and fire schools that we send people off to that are 1-day, 2-day courses, and some of those are even paid for you to go to, and some are not. Some are for your benefit and for your resume. But
and do the firefighters that get paid on call, they get a pension on top of that or not?
They do not.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dusty.
Well, thanks.
Anything I didn't get out that you wanted to get out?
Well, we could use another half hour, but I think we got the highlights. We got the stuff we needed to talk about or wanted to talk about.
Okay. There's more that I didn't get to, huh?
Well, we can. There's lots of. It's a very dynamic job. It can be exciting at times, and there's a lot to it.
You're KDHLA. I'm Faribault, Minnesota.